Hello, my amazing sixth graders. Let's get started on our agenda for today. First up is our warm-up. So we should already have our warm-up sitting out. We are on Tuesday's box, and your job for today's warm-up, make me a blank number line. I would like you to put these 6 numbers correctly on a blank number line. Now, to help you start with that, here's what I mean by a blank number line. Draw a line, and because it's a line, you are required to put arrows on the end. I will give you about 3 minutes to problem solve on your own. Take these 6 numbers and place them correctly in that number line. 3 minutes, pause the video, and then come back to play. Now that you've had some time to work on your own, let's think this through together. I've got 3 whole numbers, and I've got 3 fractions. I hope you've noticed these 3 fractions all have a same denominator, a denominator of 3. So I am going to start with my whole numbers. When I make my number line, I need a spot for a 10, an 11, and a 12. They go chronological, they need to start. And then I've got to decide exactly where to put 10 and 2/3, 11 and 1/3, and then 10 and 1/3. Since my denominator is out of 3, this means I want groups of 3. So if I start at 10, by the time I hit 11, that needs to be 3 out of 3 equal lines to get to the next whole. So if this is 10, I need to do a 1/3, a 2/3, and a 3/3. So this line would be 10 and 1/3. This line would be 10 and 2/3. And this would technically be 10 and 3/3, which is how you get to your 11. And then I'm going to break 11 to 12 into groups of 3 again. I need to do a 1/3 line, a 2/3 line, and then by the time you hit 3/3, you are at your 12. So I've added a whole 11. This would be 11 and 1/3. This guy would be your 11 and 2/3. This is technically 11 and 3/3, but that 3/3 pushes a whole up to 12. And I picked thirds because that was the denominator of my fraction. Now I can mark these 6 numbers on my number line. One should be at the 12. One is at my 10. I have one at 11. 10 and 2/3. 11 and 1/3. 10 and 1/3. There's my blank number line. Put that stuff back into your folder, and then we are going to have our homework out. So please take out your homework from last night, homework number 24, and we are going to grade it. So get your homework out, pencils away, and only have your grading utensil out. Once everybody is ready, here we go to grade. Number 1, R is greater than 3, which means I find 3 on my number line, open circle because he is not an answer. All my answers go to the right. Answers are greater than 3, that's where they're greater. Number 2, M is less than or equal to a positive 3. I'm going to find my positive 3 on the number line. There is my closed circle this time because 3 is an acceptable answer. All my answers need to be smaller. That means to the left. Number 3, X is less than 3. Go to where 3 is. It is an open circle because my answer is not equal to 3. And I need everything smaller. Smaller means to the left, down your number line. K is greater than or equal to 3. Find 3. This time it is a closed circle above 3 because it could equal 3. And then all my answers are greater. Greater means up to the right on your number line. Number 5. A is greater than -5. Integers still matter. When you move a +7 over, he becomes a -7, which means I have more negatives than I do positives. You are finding me a -5 on your number line. Open circle, because it cannot equal -5. All your answers are greater, so you have to draw me an arrow to the right. Number 6, H is less than or equal to 12. Find me the 12. This time it is a closed circle because my answer could be a -12. And then everything else is below. You're going to the left. Question 7. V is less than -8. You find me a -8. That is my open circle because -8 is not an answer, but everything else below it is. Draw me an arrow to the left. And for question 14, Y is greater than a -21. Open circle above 21. It is not an answer choice. All my answers are greater, so you're drawing me an arrow to the right. For our word problems, the directions did say to write an inequality, but I helped you out and they were already written for you. Your job was to just solve the situation. In order to get X alone, you would have subtracted 48. What you do to one side, do to the other. X is less than or equal to 24. Since this is a word problem, you should have put a label. We are asked about heights being measured in inches. The height can be less than or equal to 24 inches. There's your final answer. If you did not put inches, do not take off any points, but make sure you add it in. Labels are super, super important when you have a word problem situation because that X is representing heights. My height is measured in inches because 24 inches versus 24 feet is a ginormous difference. So make sure you have those labels in there. Same thing on number 10. I wrote it for you. Your job is to solve. Now I'm curious how you moved the +5 over. The opposite of a +5 is a -5, but remember when you are subtracting with decimals, you must line them up. So my 5 goes under the 4. Put down your zeros. X is greater than or equal to 9.25. That's what you need for full credit, but then again, you should add in a label. I'm asking you about money, add in a $sign. Do not take off points if you did not put the $sign, but add it in with your grading utensil. And that's our new part of being able to solve inequalities with adding and subtracting and graph them. Backside. Here's our review piece. I asked you to order from least to greatest. Your correct answer should be -5 out of 7, comma, -0.7, comma, -0.65, comma, and -3/5. Number 12, I asked for the smiley faces that are not shaded. That is 1, 2, 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And your job is to turn that into a percentage, which is 60%. 13, 15 is the answer to 20% of 75. 12.505 is the greatest number out of all of those. And then you've got to now correctly put in all of your numbers into the correct place values. -13 is an integer. 0 goes in your hole. 0.99 is considered a rational number. -6.3 is rational. Just because you're negative does not make you an integer. The decimals is what makes you rational. 1/6 is also rational. 7 is considered a whole number. And -4 1/2 is your rational one. So check all those out. Fraction decimal percent conversions. 0.5 is equivalent to a half, which is 50%. 6/8 is equivalent to 0.75, which is 75%. 14% is 0.14. And your simplified fraction needs to be 7 out of 50. Make sure you simplified. Question 17 is a 24%. 5 1/6 as an improper fraction is 31 out of 6. The decimal is 5.16. Repeating bar with that 6. So I know I'm not here to answer questions that you have, but you guys are a really smart group of kids. Highly suggest you pause the video right now, and if you need to, work together to go over any of the questions. Make sure you know what you're doing, and then turn in the assignment to the substitute, so then that way she can place it into your folder, and I will make sure to get it to grade for you. All right, guys, thanks for working together to make sure you get your homework questions answered. Now we're moving on to our new goal for today. And our goal for today, if you read the front board, your job is to be able to solve an inequality that contains multiplication and division. Yesterday's assignment was only adding and subtracting, not the only operations we have in math. So now we've got to worry about what do we do for multiplication and division. Even though we're adding in different operations, it doesn't change our goal. When you are asked to solve any equation, your job is to always and forever get the variable alone. Isolate it, always and forever. And the way you mathematically get the variable alone is by doing the inverse operation. Inverse is a fancy word for opposites. We've done this when I've asked you to solve equations. Now we're going to do it with an inequality. The only difference right now is that instead of getting one answer for an equation, you're going to have many answers for the inequality. Graphing it is still the same. If the value in the statement is not part of the solution, meaning it's just greater than or it's just less than, you've got to use your open circle. Your example says 7 times x is less than 28. They didn't give me any room, so I'm going to rewrite 7 times x is less than 28. We solve it just like we always have. Separate left side from right side using your inequality. The inverse of a times 7 is a division, but it's a balance. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other. 7 divided by 7 cancels out to your 1x. I'm dividing by a positive, so my inequality comes straight down. 28 divided by 7 is 4. So if this is my solution, you now needed to graph it. Open circle because it cannot equal. All my answers are under 4. Boom. Same thing here. X divided by 2 is greater than 3. Now this one I don't need to rewrite. I can work it right here. Split left side from right side. If I give you division, the opposite is multiplication. But what you do to one side, you gotta do to the other. 2 divided by 2 cancels out to your 1x. I divided by positive 2, so my inequality comes straight down. 3 times 2 is 6. This is the solution set you graph. Go to 6, open circle because it's not equal. Anything greater, you put your arrow to the right. Only difference is if you need a shut, which we really call closed. A closed circle is used when the value of the statement is part of the solution, meaning the number is an acceptable answer. That's your greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. You got to take the time to draw the line. You got to take the time to color the circle in. You are given the problem, 12 times x is less than or equal to a 36. You still split left side from right side. The inverse of a times 12 is a divide by 12. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other. Do your math. 12 divided by 12 is a positive 1x. Since I divided by positive 12, bring down your less than or equal to symbol exactly as you see it. 36 divided by 12 is 3. You are finding me a positive 3 on your number line. It is a closed circle because 3 is an answer as well as anything smaller than it, so your arrow goes to the left. Next example, x divided by 1. Well, if I got to get x alone, my inverse is to multiply. If I multiply the left side by 1, I've got to multiply the right side by 1. 1 divided by 1 cancels out to x. I multiplied by a positive, so I'm going to keep my inequality. 5 times 1 is 5. Close circle at 5. All my answers are greater. There we go. Now we're going to practice some more. They gave us great space for it. Draw your line through the equal sign. I'm sorry, it's not an equal sign, your less than sign. This is 7 times d. If you've got to get d alone, the inverse is division. What you do to one side, you've got to do to the other. 7 divided by 7 is a positive d. I divided by positive 7. Bring down the less than symbol. 21 divided by 7 is 3. Find me 3 on your number line. Give me that open circle because 3 is not an answer. And all of my solutions need to go under 3. That is to the left. Split left side from right side. This time it's w divided by 5. If you've got to get w alone, the inverse is multiplication. If I multiply the left by 5, I got to multiply the right by 5. Do the math. 5 divided by 5 cancels out to my 1w. We multiplied by a positive. Bring the inequality down exactly as you see it. 5 times 5 is 25. We have done our goal. W is alone. This time you go to 25. It is a closed circle. 25 is an answer because it could equal, and then all of my solutions are greater. Draw me an arrow to the right. Split left side from right side. Inverse 9 times a. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. A comes straight down. I'm dividing by a positive 9. Inequality comes straight down. 36 divided by 9, 4. Find me 4 on the number line. It is a closed circle because it can equal. And then all of my answers are under, less than, to the left. Give me that arrow. Make sure you are drawing the arrows on the ends so that they are rays that go on forever and ever and ever. All right, number 4's got an awesome little thing to it. You're still going to do everything just like we know. Get h alone. Right now, 3 is being multiplied by h. So the inverse is division of 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other. H comes down. My inequality becomes straight down because I'm dividing by a positive. 1 divided by 3 is actually the decimal of 0.3 repeating. So don't do the decimal. Leave it as 1/3. He's already simplified. Don't bother changing it. Didn't I have you practice on your warm-up? Fractions with 1/3? Oh, look. Put it on your number line. Now, this one already had the number line set up for you. If you had to draw your own, you would start from 0 to 1 and chunk it into 3s. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 is your whole. Since my solution is 1/3, close circle above 1/3, where are all of my answers greater? To the right, you shade up. All right, number 5. Line through your equal sign. This is a fraction. All fractions are division. The inverse of division is multiplication. So the examples that we did up here where you had to do the inverse as multiplication as well as this guy. I showed you with the dot. I don't mind that. You like it, use it. If you don't like it, you may also use the parentheses. So I'm going to show you on this guy. b divided by 17, I'm going to put parentheses around it and multiply by 17. If I multiply the left side by 17, I gotta multiply the right side by 17. Again, I do not care if you use parentheses or if you use a dot like we did on the previous examples. Make sure you know you are multiplying. Now do your math. 17 divided by 17 cancels out. B comes down. I am multiplying by a positive 17. Inequality comes straight down. And this one, I cannot do in my head. There is nothing wrong with going to some space and doing your multiplication. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Your solutions, all my B's, are less than a 68. I'm going to go find 68 on my number line. I am going to put an open circle because 68 is not an answer. And then I'm going to draw an arrow to the left because that's where all my answers are smaller. Number 6, split left side from right side. Our goal is to get M alone. Right now, M is being multiplied by 11. To get rid of multiplication, we do the inverse, which is division. But I just made them unbalanced. What you do to one side, you gotta do to the other. Do your math, guys. 11 divided by 11 cancels out to 1M. Because I divided by positive 11, my inequality comes straight down. 88 divided by 11 is 8. Go graph it for me. You find 8 on your number line. You are giving me an open circle, not equal to 8. He is not a choice. But all my answers are greater. Greater goes to the right. Number 7. Split left side from right side. Your job is to get K alone. Right now, K is being divided by 8. We've got to do the inverse. The inverse is multiplication. Do the dot, do parentheses, make your choice. I am choosing parentheses of times 8. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other. Keep it balanced, keep it level. 8 divided by 8 cancels out to my 1K. I am multiplying by a positive. Bring down that inequality exactly as you see it. Do your math. 2 times 8 is 16. All right, we've got that front side done. Oh, I lied. We got to do our number line. I'm going to find 16 on the number line. It is a closed circle because 16 is an answer choice. Take the time to draw the line. Take the time to color in the circle. And then all my answers are below. Less is to the left. Now we've got our number line done. We are going to fold it first to do our next 3. So just take your note sheet, fold it straight up so you can still see your title. And we've only got 3 more to work on this guy. I want you to notice something special though. If I go back to these, haven't I always asked you variable first, number second, variable first, number second, always, always, always. Now you don't have a choice. You're not writing them, they're given. Your job is to solve. Get the variable alone by doing the inverse operation. That is your goal, that is your job. Get the variable alone. So go and do what I've asked you to. Find your inequality. It splits left side from right side. X is on the right. I don't care. My job, get him alone. He is being multiplied by 10, so the inverse of multiplication is division. Just like always, you now made him unbalanced. If I divide one side by 10, you've got to go do it to the other. Now do your math. 60 divided by 10, 6. I divided by a positive 10. This inequality comes straight down. The numbers were on the left, so I divided and I kept it on the left. Inequality comes straight down. 10 divided by 10 is 1. X comes straight down. Now, if you box this and you call that your answer, I am completely happy. However, I'm afraid if you put this on a number line, you're going to graph it wrong because you see a greater than symbol. Now do what I've asked you to before. Put the number first. So I am going to switch x first, 6 second. It is still opening to 6, pointing to x. So if I choose to switch around the x and the 6, I've got to keep the inequality matching it. X is the small side, 6 is the big side. This is really how you'd graph it because it's a less than symbol. All your answers would go down your number line, not up. Again, this is correct. I like this better because I think you'll be less likely to make a mistake. So I'm always going to solve it like this, bringing everything straight down, and I will rewrite my answer putting the variable first. Let's try that on 9 and 10. Split left side from right side. Your goal is still exactly the same. Get n alone. To get rid of division, we need to multiply. Doesn't matter that it's the right side. The opposite of a division of 2 is a times 2. And what you do to one side, we got to do to the other. Do your math. 2 times 12 is 24. I divided by a positive. Bring your inequality straight down. 2 divided by 2 cancels to n. You may leave this, but I am always going to rewrite variable first, number second, opening towards the n, and it could equal. That's what I want for your final answer. Let's try 10. M is our job to get alone. Right now, M is being divided by 10. The inverse of division, multiplication. What you do to one side, you gotta do to the other. 10 times 5 is 50. Inequality comes straight down because I multiplied by positive 10. 10 divided by 10 disappears to m. There is my solved inequality. I brought everything straight down, and now I am going to choose to rewrite variable first. Inequality must point to m, open to 50, and it can equal. Boom. This guy is going to go into our journal, but I would wait and glue him in after we do our next sheet. Because this one, I gave you every single inequality. You didn't have to think. What we're switching to in our next note sheet is this guy. We've got some model examples, and then we're going to worry about our word problem examples. So switch out, get your next note sheet available. Alicia is buying melons. She buys 5 melons and spends more than $10. How much did she spend on each melon? So this one tried to help us out. It says, let X represent the cost of each melon. We have no idea the cost of each. We're going to use X for it. I do know how many melons I started with. She buys 5. The cost of each melon, I don't know which one, so that's my variable. And if it is strictly more than 10, I need a greater than symbol. And the cost is 10. Not equal to, just more than. In model form, when we start throwing in x's, they are represented as rectangles. So I have 1x plus 1x plus 1x plus 1x plus 1x. That is represented as 5 x's. Greater 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 positives. This model represents this inequality. If my inequality is 5 times x is greater than 10, your job is to solve. The inverse of times 5 is division of 5. What we do to one side, do to the other. X comes straight down. My greater than symbol comes straight down because I divided by positive 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So there is my solution set that I just found. The cost of a watermelon must be greater than $2. So now I've got to go to my number line, but that number line's missing numbers. Fill them in. If you know this is 0 and this is 5, the only way they are counting to get from 0 to 5 is by 1. Positives go up, negatives go down. Gotta be that way. Positives up, negatives down. Now I can find my positive 2. Open circle because it cannot equal. arrow to the right because all my answers are greater. Question 2. Dominic is buying school supplies. He buys 3 binders and spends more than $90. How much did he spend on each binder? We've got to use the variable X to represent the cost of one binder. Write me an inequality. I know he buys 3. I do not know the cost of each. We are to multiply when I know the unit rate. And it says more than 9. I cannot equal. I've got to be greater than. Here's what it looks like in models. The rectangles are my X's and they're positives. 1, 2, 3. 3 X's. My greater than symbol, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Our job is to solve 3x is greater than 9. Get x alone. Opposite of multiplication is division. X comes down. I divided by positive 3. My inequality comes straight down. 9 divided by 3 is 3. This time I've got all my numbers. Open circle at 3 because it is not an answer. Everything above makes that inequality true. Last model. There are no words this time. It is just the model. Write the inequality shown in the model. Circle groups of tiles to show the solution. Then write the situation. We're going to solve it like we have all the others. Rectangles represent x's, and I've got 2 of them, so that's my 2x. Less than symbol comes down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positives. The inequality shown is 2x is less than 8. You're going to split left side from right side. And our job, get the variable alone. The opposite of a times 2 is a division of 2. But it's a balance. What you do to one side, do to the other. X comes straight down. We divided by positive 2. Inequality comes straight down. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Your solution is any number less than 4. That means 4 is not an acceptable answer. Anything below. All right, so that is our models, write and solve. We are going to take our note sheet. We are going to fold it in half. 5 more, and these are all straight up word problems. Your job now is to be able to read and write and solve. We are putting everything combined together. Read, write, then solve. The only thing you do not have to do on these is graph it on a number line. You will have some on your homework that you do and some that you don't. Karen. Karen divided her books and put them on 6 shelves. There were at least 14 books on each shelf. How many books did she have? Write and solve an inequality to represent the situation. So my unknown, my missing variable is how many books. I am now going to reread knowing I don't know my total books she had. Karen divided her books, okay, there's my X, I don't know what that is, and put them on 6 shelves. Oh, well, I know she started with 6 books and she divided them into, she started with X books. She divided them into 6 groups. There's my 6 shelves. We are not babies anymore. Fractions are division. Write it as a fraction problem. Now, the inequality piece. There were at least 14 books. So I'm going to leave space. I'm going to talk about 14 then. If I am at least 14, that is the smallest my answer can be. All of my answers must be greater or equal to 14. That's half credit. It said right? That's half credit. Next part is to solve. Find me X. Split left side from right side. The inverse of division of 6 is times 6. What you do to one side, gotta do to the other. 6 divided by 6 cancels to just X. We are multiplying by a positive 6. Bring their inequality straight down, and I cannot do this multiplication in my head. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And because this is a word problem, that X has meaning behind it. In this case, how many books did she have? 80, well, more than or equal to 84 books. There's your final answer. The word problem's on your homework. Half credit for writing it, half credit for solving it. So make sure you do both, please. Number 5, a paperweight must weigh less than 4 ounces. Brittany wants to make 6 paperweights using sand. Write and solve an inequality to find the possible weight of the sand she has. All right, I know I am asking you to find possible weights of sand, so now I'm going to go reread again. The paperweight must weigh less than 4 ounces. Brittany wants to make 6 paperweights of sand. I don't know that sand. That's my missing variable. But I have 6 of them. Of means to multiply. 6x. Not using a dot, not using parentheses. Number and variable touching is the best way to show multiplication. Leave some space. I'm asking you to compare it to 4. It must weigh less than 4 ounces. That weight's got to be smaller than 4. Open to the 4, point to the 6. Half credit for writing, half credit for solving. The inverse of a times 6 is division of 6. What we do to one side, do to the other. 6's cancel, x comes straight down. We are dividing by a positive 6. Bring it straight down. The inequality straight down. You have options. This is 4 divided by 6. Guys, that's a fraction. That's not even an improper fraction, not a mixed number. Can I simplify? Absolutely. Divide out of 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. If you chose to do long division, that is absolutely acceptable. I hope you've memorized this fraction by now. I've thrown it at you often. 2/3 is 0.6 repeating. I am going to choose to leave it as 2/3. You may absolutely write 0.6 repeating. It is your choice. I just think that that fraction looks better. Now, X has a meaning. X was talked about as how much sand she needs. She will need less than 2/3 ounces of sand. That's what you're boxing for your final answer. Again, I don't care fraction versus decimal. I just think the fraction looks better in this situation. Question 6. Mark wants to buy a set of 6 antique chairs for his dining room. He has decided to spend no more than $360. How much can he spend per chair? So this time my missing variable is my chairs. Mark wants to buy a set of 6 antique chairs. Well, since I used X's before, I'm going to use C for chairs this time. If I have 6 of them, I am asking you to multiply. Now I've got to compare my 6 chairs to $360. No more than. That means I can go up to 600 or stay, or 600. I said 600. Whew. No more than means you can go up to 360 or below. I can equal it, so I'm putting my line under it, or I am under. No more than is a less than or equal to inequality. Half credit for writing, half credit for solving. The inverse of times 6 is divide by 6. What you do to one side, do to the other. Do your math. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so my C comes down. I divided by a positive 6. My inequality comes straight down. Do the math. If you can do it in your head, great. If not, there is nothing wrong with going to the side of your paper, doing some long division, and getting your 60. Now that 60 represents chairs. Add in the label. My chairs are less than or equal to 60 chairs. I lied. It's how much can he spend? That's $60. Good thing I use pencil. How much could he spend? He could spend $60 or less to buy those chairs. Do more. We got this. Alicia earns $9 per hour working at a part-time job. She wants to earn more than 180 this week. How many hours does Alicia have to work? So what I'm missing is the hours. When I reread $9 per hour, that is my rate of change. I'm going to write it as 9H for hours. Pick whatever letter you want. I'm picking H for hours. She wants to earn more than 180. There's my 180. In order for my amount to be more, not equal, just more, I am putting my greater than symbol. Half credit for writing. Now solve. The opposite of times 9 is divide by 9. What you do to one side, do to the other. 9 divided by 9 is my 1H. My inequality comes straight down because I divided by a positive 9. If you can divide in your head, great. If not, go to the side. My hours is less than or equal to 20. I'm sorry, I said less than. My hours is greater than or equal to 20 hours. And it's just greater, it's not equal. Sorry about that. Hours is strictly greater. 20 is not an answer choice. Last one. It costs $660 to put on the school play. How many tickets must be sold at $6 a piece in order to make a profit? How many tickets must be sold at $6 a piece? That's represented by 6 times your tickets. I do not know how many tickets there are. 6 times T. I've got to compare that to my $660 that it costs for the play. Now, the inequality is a little bit hidden in here. The inequality comes from this word profit. Profit means you have to make more money than what you spend. You can't break even. Break even is 0. You have to make more. Since I have to make more, my inequality must open to the 6T. It cannot equal 660 because if it equaled 660, I would have had $0, not a profit. It's got to be greater. There's my inequality, half credit. Now solve. The opposite of multiplying by 6 is a division of 6. What you do to one side, do to the other. 6 divided by 6 is 1. T comes straight down. I divided by a positive 6. Inequality comes straight down. If you can divide in your head, wonderful. If not, go to the side. 1, 1, 0. Now there's a meaning behind the 110. There's a meaning behind T. Tickets. Please make sure you are putting labels on your word problems. They must sell over 110 tickets in order for them to have a profit. Now we've got our notes filled out. Any of you get sick of hearing me say we're dividing by a positive, we're multiplying by a positive? Now there's a reason for that. Are all the numbers in the world positives? Absolutely not. What you have for your notes today, what you have for your homework is also all positives. So you're going to bring your inequality straight down. We will look at later this week what happens if it's no longer a positive I'm dividing by. What if I divide by a negative? Or what if I multiply by a negative? So there's a unit to come, a lesson coming up. We are more than set to be successful on our homework. Please make sure that you put your glue on this side of your notes. Put your glue on the very, very first one that we did. Go back and glue this guy. Glue both note sheets into your journal, please. And then you have the rest of class to work on your homework. Homework number 25 is coming out. It is all multiplication and division questions with all positives. Please be respectful. Use your time wisely of what's left. Get it done. We will grade it together, and it is due tomorrow. Thank you, guys. I will see you tomorrow.